Hi guys, this is a girl Wakeji Kamore and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. Alright, so we are continuing with the book of 2 Kings. Today we are going to be looking at 2 Kings chapter 10. Again, as a reminder, please pause this recording just so that you can read the chapter and understand what it is that we are going to be talking about, because I'm going to do a very quick summary and I don't want you to miss the stories. I don't want you to miss the lessons, because your lesson could be waiting for you to read the chapter. It could actually not be in my recording. So pause and read the chapter for yourself. As you pause and read the chapter, if you're here for the very first time, kindly subscribe, kindly like, kindly share, and most importantly, hit the notification bell so that you never miss any recording that goes up. All right, are we guys ready? I hope we are. So just a recap, in chapter 9, Jehu had become king and he had been anointed to bring judgment on Ahab's family. So he was anointed to actually eradicate, finish, kaput, like completely wipe out the whole family of Ahab and his descendants. So in chapter 10, he's gaining momentum. Ameshawa a few people in chapter 9. So he's now after Ahab's son. So in this chapter, we are told that Ahab had 70 sons. As in, first, by the time you have 70 sons, what are you doing with your life? 70 sons are too many. But anyway, he had 70 sons and they were living in the city of Samaria. Samaria, remember, is the capital city of Israel. Was it the capital city of Israel, or was it the capital city of Judah? No, it was the capital city of Israel. Actually, guys, I keep confusing these two nations, or rather kingdoms. So he wrote a letter to them, to the guardians of these kings. So these kings had guardians. These 70 sons of Ahab had guardians. So he wrote a letter to them and he said, Nyinyi, you choose between mambo ni mawili. You either kill those guys, those sons that you're taking care of, or I will come myself and kill them. So of course these guys were paralyzed with fear. They were like, we have seen how this Jehu has already killed 2 kings. We don't want him to come here because we will all die. The sons will die, and including us. So what they decided to actually kill the 70 sons. So that's what they did. They killed the 70 sons and they put their heads, as in they killed them and they put their heads in a basket. And then they presented these heads to Jehu in Jezreel. So Jehu ordered and said, pile the heads into 2 heaps at the entrance of the city gate and leave them there until morning. So in the morning, he went out to speak to the crowd that had gathered around. And then he says, you are not to blame, he told them. I am the one who conspired against my master and killed him. Remember that how he became king? He was anointed to be king, but he went and killed the previous king, who was Joram. So he went and killed Joram, and that's how he became king. So here he is taking the blame and saying, yes, mimi ndio niliua the king, and that is how I became king. But then he's like, but these 70 heads, these 70 sons of Ahab, I'm not the one who has killed them. But please remember, he's the one who has threatened people so that they can be killed. So he's there trying to make himself look good by saying he's not the one who has killed the 70 sons of Ahab, yet he is the one who has killed them. So Jehu killed all those who were left of Ahab's relatives living in Jezreel, all the important officials, his personal friends, his priests, and there was no single survivor left. First, I feel like the assignment was to kill Ahab's descendants. Sasa, what were personal friends? Sasa, imagine you are personal friend to Jehu. That is how to Ahab, that is how you have lost your life. You are his priest, you are his important official. That is how you've just lost your life. I feel like this guy actually went overboard, like ali overdo. Aliambiwa anda uwe watu wa Ahab, akaenda akaua mpaka mabeshte wake, honestly. So then Jehu went to Samaria along the way, he actually met relatives of King Ahaziah of Judah. Please note, he had been told to kill who? He had been told to kill the descendants of Jehu. But now he's met relatives of King Ahaziah, and they was going to visit King Ahaziah. And by the way, King Ahaziah is already dead. So I don't even know why these relatives don't know that the King Ahaziah is already dead, because this guy had already killed him. So what did they do? They he was like, who are you guys? And then they said, oh, we are relatives of King Ahaziah. We are going to visit the sons of King Ahab and the sons of the queen mother. Oh, they actually were not going to visit King Ahaziah. They were going to visit the sons of King Ahab. And the sons of King Ahab have already been killed. So what did Jehu say? He said, let them be captured, and they were captured, and then they were killed. And these were 42 people. These were 42 relatives that were killed on that specific day. Our relatives were King Ahaziah. As I'm saying, this guy Jehu was really overdoing it, because this is our King Ahaziah and my relatives. Okay, what does that have to do with Ahab? Nothing. All right. So Jehu left there, and then he met this guy called Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, who was coming to meet him. And after they greeted each other, Jehu was very keen to show this guy how devoted he is to the Lord. So he said, no, come with me and see how devoted I am to the Lord. So this Jehonadab guy rode with Jehu. And when they arrived in Samaria, he killed everyone who was left there from Ahab's family, just as the Lord had promised through Elijah. All right. So he's not doing it for show off. He's not doing it because he's just like, come and see how devoted I am to the Lord. The Lord told me to do these things, and this is what I am doing. So he's now starting to do it out of show off. All right. So the next thing he does is that he wants to kill the priests of Baal and all the worshippers of Baal. So what did he do? He called a meeting for the people of the city and said to them, oh, for all the Baal worshippers, I'm going to offer a great sacrifice to Baal. So let everybody come. So he offered to prepare like some sort of a bash where he's going to be offering a big, massive, great offering and sacrifice to Baal. And he said, let everybody who worships Baal, let every priest of Baal, let every person who worships Baal come to that. I don't know that it's a temple or temple of Baal. It's actually a temple of Baal. So he had all of them come, and he said, I hope hakuna mtu mwenye ana worship God. I hope nobody here worships the true God. I only want worshippers of Baal. So they were all in a temple, the priest, Nini, and then he had placed his army, or rather his soldiers or his warriors, outside the temple. And when he finished doing the sacrifice for the burnt offering, he ordered the officers and the guards and says, go in and kill all of them, and don't let a single one escape. So they were killed with swords. Yani they were killed, they were dragged out. It was a massacre, you guys. Jehu actually destroyed every trace of Baal worship from Israel. But the funny thing is, this guy is choosing, like ana choose, akiamua fanya hivi ana overdo, akiamua kufanya something good, he does something good and then does not do something good. Like he's all over the place. He says, in this way, Jehu, this is verse 20, it says, in this way, Jehu destroyed every trace of Baal worship from Israel. He did not, however, destroy the gold calves at Bethel and Dan, with which Jeroboam, son of Nebat, had caused Israel to sin. So he destroyed Baal, but there are these specific idols that he did not destroy. The two gold calves, the gold calves that were at Bethel and Dan. So he didn't destroy. But the Bible says, nonetheless, that the Lord said to Jehu, you have done well in following my instructions and destroying the families of Ahab. Therefore, your descendants will be kings to Israel down to the 4th generation. So he was rewarded for actually doing what God had asked him to do. I feel like here in this specific place, God was like, okay, I know you will enter overboard. I know you went and destroyed Baal and didn't destroy this other two, but you really did what I asked you to do. Apart from the fact that you went overboard and started doing this not for show off and stuff like that. But he was still rewarded. God still rewarded him with, his descendants being king up to the 4th generation. But in verse 31, it says that Jehu did not obey the law of the Lord, the God of Israel, with all his heart. He refused to turn away from the sins that Jeroboam had led Israel to commit. First, I'm like, this Jeroboam guy. Any kama kuna mtu ametumika kama example kwa hii kitabu ya First Kings and 2nd Kings, it's this guy. This guy is the one who actually started introducing like really bad idol worship to this kingdom. So he is always an example. Like everybody who commits a sin, he said he did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam. Yani, if you were to be used as an example, this guy was a really bad example. So it says that he did not obey the laws of the Lord full-heartedly. He did not. And by this time, Now God was like, okay, because these guys are still worshiping idols, I'm going to start cutting down the size of Israel's territory. So King Hazael conquered several sections of the city, of the country, east of Jordan River, including all of Gilead, Gad, Reuben, and Manasseh. So those ones have already been conquered. Please remember that this is where the downfall of Israel begins. It begins with the reign of Jehu, because Jehu did not obey God with all his heart. So yeah, God is just like, okay, now the fall for this nation for this kingdom has begun. So he decided to cut down their territory. And Jehu died. He was buried in Samaria, and then his son Jehoahaz. Let me tell you, these Jeho names are just too much. Nani nyingi, especially in this part that we are getting into, there's a lot of Jehu somethings. So his son Jehoahaz became the next king, and in total Jehu reigned over Israel from Samaria for 28 years. Sorry guys. So I don't know whether you've been able to follow the story, but the thing is that Jehu did obey what God had told him to do, but he went overboard. He did destroy Baal worship, but he did not completely remove idol worship from Israel. That means he followed God's laws, but did not follow them full-heartedly. And the thing that I learned is that while Jehu had the influence and the energy to truly turn the nation back to God, his half-commitment left the potential unfulfilled and pointed to a lack of any relationship with God. He really didn't have any relationship with God. Him is just like, I'm doing these things God asked me to do. Because he had no relationship with God, he didn't know when to stop. He didn't know when when he was supposed to destroy all the idol worship, he didn't know to completely complete that journey. But Jehu's heart was not it was not perfect towards the Lord. Really, his heart wasn't perfect towards the Lord. Much of the land of Israel was lost during his reign, and his dynasty lasted for only 4 generations. And the spiritual choices that we make today, the spiritual choices that you make today, could have a lasting impact on the future generation. It could have a lasting impact on your descendants, could have a lasting impact on your children, your children's children, your children's children's children. But I think the main lesson that I learned in this book is that every single time we are half committed, every single time we are half obeying and half disobeying, we are losing out on the potential, on the full potential of the blessings of the Lord. We are losing out on the full potential of the purposes of God being fulfilled in our lives. My prayer for you and my prayer for myself is that we will not be half-hearted. We will not be half-committed, but we will be fully committed, so that then we can experience the full potential of what God has prepared for us. We can experience the full blessing. We can experience the full relationship with God. Like we don't want half things. Let's try and get everything that we can get from a relationship with God. Let's try and get a really good relationship with God and not be half committed. Thank you guys for listening to me. See you tomorrow.